Hello, Mike Levin here. Thursday morning, July 27th, 2017. And I just got off the subway and the obligatory Statue of Liberty shot, one of my favorite things, I guess, along with the Flatiron building, to get regular shots of, because it's really cool. Living here in New York, reminding myself that I'm the place where every movie and every comic book seems to be set in or produced from or otherwise connected to. It's fun being in major hubs, and I guess the thing I really want to talk about is it's time to really ratchet up the intensity of my work now to do the next step in my career maneuver, which is the gradual transition from what I was originally, webmaster, to SEO, and now to data master. I will not be so presumptuous as to call what I'm doing becoming a data scientist. I think of it a lot in the same sense as computer science. Science? Okay, well, I guess so. But mostly understanding the nature of the data you have access to, how you can pull it, whether and how you store it, whether your processes are going to be batch or real time, or so fast you even have processing excess capacity you can throw towards real-time machine learning, which I think is one of the supreme end goals here, so that your systems start, calling out new patterns that it recognizes as significant for you to look at and label and bring your human experience to this thing it noticed. And that creates these wonderful, specialized systems like the one Google did that beat Go, world champion, in that, landmark moment, whatever they call it. It's one of those crossroad moments, like when Deep Blue beat Kasparov in chess. So we've had the next height of achievement there. So, a lot of bets are off. Problem-solving capabilities that can be brought to things that have eluded us for 100 years are suddenly going to start to get solved, including designs for better processor and CPU architectures to create other specialized neural networks to be the brains of specialized automations and robots. And this is all very immediate future, so I would like to not go obsolete during that transition to that future over the next 20 years or so, where my daughter will be growing up. I would like to be the sage wizard who knows how to code and knows how to control machines old school, who is happy and willing to whisper her advice here and there. And some of it'll go, I know you're probably not going to like it, but one of the important ways to interact with and to communicate with machines is you have this cable. It's called a serial cable. You plug it in. You are fortunate enough to have even just a text display. There's a little bit of hardware whose job it is to take commands coming down that wire and to show you that data in the form of letters you can recognize on the screen. And then you can type things on the keyboard and send those letters back in various combinations. And through clever tricks, you can get full screen editors like Vim. However, this is desktop lists, graphical user interface lists, although that's a misnomer because there is a graphical user interface. The graphics are text. in a fixed, way of them being able to be, projected and read. Classic Turing machine stuff. And, it very easily takes you to the thought processes that, the world is the computer. You can never have a virtual simulator of the entire universe because it would have to be able to contain a copy of itself, the virtual simulator. And you have, these crazy concepts. So chances are, we're living out something that is a pretty cool design, and it's worth, knowing a little bit about. There is analog technology in which you can do neat tricks like spiral some wire around a certain way and feed it through, I think, a diode or and you can create an antenna for listening in to things being broadcast. It's being broadcast out in an invisible yet very real wave, and you get to capture it and convert it into audible signals. And that can be reversed. Every radio receiver is also a potential transmitter with upping your power source and where you're putting your input and output. And a short while after those types of tricks are discovered and understood for, communication over great distance, the next thing is digital. You can flip a switch on and off and have those states remembered, and the pattern of the way they're flipped on and off, a function of an algorithm or formula you feed in, so that the resulting states are the answer to a question or a calculation that you needed to compute, hence computer. And that becomes things like I'm recording this video on. So it really took this rapid step from, hey, we have a way to simplify the way we, can see and record the world and transmit that stuff to each other. Internet is born, to what Arthur C. Clarke would term as indistinguishable from magic. We just need to feed new magic juice into it by connecting it to Firewire or whatever each night to give it more magic again. And all this stuff in our hands is really not much different than that for most people. And then, you layer in everything we understand about who we are and evolution, and we realize that there is a deeper inner animal self that's playing out a somewhat more automatic and somewhat less free will program. Down underneath of us, you got reptiles, not a lot of cuddly emotions in reptiles. I know, I've got a few as pets. And all that cuddly emotional stuff seems to be higher for mammal stuff, where complex societies come into the picture. You see it in birds as well. So, it goes up in layers, with the lower levels being more primitive animals that are carrying out, while not totally deterministic stuff, more deterministic than human beings are, with our top level prefrontal cortex thinking ability, which is where a lot of the, focus on the emergence of artificial intelligence is put. Just reproduce that prefrontal cortex, you've got a thinking machine. Well, there's all that automatic stuff that keeps your heart pumping and your lungs breathing. And, it's more, deterministic, mechanical. So you got these two technologies going side by side, building better, perfect computing machines, faster processing, more memory capacity, a lot like things we know. You scale by simply making multiple copies of itself and improving the software to create neural networks out of them as nodes. And you go that direction sufficiently, and you get, this other brand of computing that's gonna, you know, permeate every aspect of our life over the next 20 years, which is machine learning and things suddenly being able to think problems through more instantaneous and better than a human being ever could. No doubt, cars will become better drivers than humans. Car crash accidents will go down, but also every thing in your life will be tracked. You as a human being will be nothing more than a node in some corporate neural network. And it's pretty likely, you know, that's what these smart homes are about. These ecosystems, products and services that plug into each other. So a new set of winners and losers will be sorted out that will also control the media, just like in the days of NBC, CBS, and ABC, when Westinghouse and GE, owning 2 of the 3 of those, basically set the agenda for the American population, i.e. the 50s, 60s, right up until cable television hit, and 3 channels plus a handful of UHF, so like 6 channels if you're lucky, became, you know, 60 channels if you're lucky on old school analog cable, which became 600 channels with digital, and then the internet basically made old school cable TV obsolete, except for the deals they cut for live events and other premium content, which are deals that can now be cut just as easily on the streaming internet side, because general availability of high bandwidth is already going up and people are paying so much for that in the United States. The challenge is to deliver must still have in your life services that you're willing to shovel out $10 a month, $100 a month for. So we all did that. We're doing it with Netflix, and that enabled a lot of cord cutting, and the cable companies are like, oh boy, providing that internet pipeline is now the new premium service people want, isn't it? Oh yeah, that happened about a decade ago. And Prime does interesting things like virtually make Netflix obsolete by having its own array of, you know, free under your $100 a year subscription premium video content, plus being able to just buy things that you just want in a way that Netflix never did, because they actually stayed too married to the subscription model. So where the heck are we in all this? Helping raise my daughter into a data saturated, everything's tracked future where wonderful, you know, really comfortable modern life with all the amenities and conveniences and social satisfaction of our Facebooks and Instagrams and whatnot. Oh, so those are all under one umbrella? Interesting. Facebook a player? Yeah. Well, the war being waged between Amazon with very incredibly highly strategic approaches that I'm just starting to appreciate now. And of course Apple, that was both early and late to the game. Early with Siri, late with HomePod. And Microsoft with a Cortana, no hardware device except for Windows systems for that, and Windows phones and unicorns. And yeah, let's see, I was going through the voice stuff. So the last one is of course Google Home, and you know, wow, the infrastructure of Google driving that process. And I try and dabble in here and there. I haven't chosen an ecosystem. I haven't divided myself up between my, you know, modern day equivalent of NBC, ABC, and CBS, or Westinghouse and General Electric. But the company conglomerates, the, you know, camps, the ecosystems are becoming clear. And they have various strengths and weaknesses each. And you don't get everything by just working with one of them, especially not today. A lot of people's old school music collections is locked into the Apple iTunes ecosystem. So live it, be an SEO, search engine optimization for those not who never had to promote a business, a cause, an idea on the internet before. It's building audience just by virtue of creating content that's so worthy of, being served in search results as one of the top 10 links on that search topic, that, it's compelling, it's overwhelmingly compelling. And then you get a handful of those with something like an exponential drop-off in why they're there on that first page of results. So incumbents stay incumbent on the top few results. Positions 3 and beyond, often very, very volatile. And, a lot of real combat, knocking each other in and out of positions there, which companies pay tons of money to track with enterprise SEO software like Conductor Searchlight and Bright Edge, and duking it out over sub-features and trying to convince marketing departments that their thing that they offered, that they analyzed so well, they did user studies, they talked to people in the industry, and this is the thing they wanted. So one company focuses a little in one direction on those killer features, another company focuses a little in another, and they have differences in user interface and number of keywords, the pricing models they adhere to, and the extras they throw in that you have to throw in now, but they do threaten those pricing models because you can do, say, per domain tracking without having to pay that piecemeal per keyword, per mobile versus desktop, per location, potentially huge bill of things that you track, which should be charged for because it takes a certain amount of physical resources, somebody's physical resources. These things aren't virtual at the end of the day. There's real hardware somewhere that's making these requests to Google, and the exclusivity of those IPs and the measures that are taken so that it looks like natural searching patterns, although it's anything but that, and it's clearly marketing style benchmarking by companies. So you pay for all this, and they're expensive products, and they aggregate their data and anonymize it and make it available to each other, but not on a who's, getting reported on what basis, but rather on, if you decide to add a bunch of keywords to your tracked keywords that a competitor of yours already asked them to add from those same locations under those same conditions, then, it's pure profit for these companies, because they just slice and dice how they're reporting stuff to what from the same base of monitored keywords. So their total base of monitored keywords gets larger and larger. And this is something that cannot really realistically be reproduced at scale by in-house guys like me, guys and girls. Same with large-scale web crawls. Very doable. I could architect it probably. There's some interesting cement being laid here. Yeah, so now I'm stuck here where I can't cross, and the audio sucks. This will be an interesting video. Testing the limits to which I try and stay safe and which I refuse to edit. I'll take this difficult to hear moment to say not editing is the thing that makes these videos possible. If I had to stop and edit these things, it would not occur. So Yay for bad audio in the background. That's the cost of the video, plus the eventual advertising I'll flip on to monetize this. So yeah, I need to teach my daughter to thrive in whatever area of interest she finds herself in that rapidly evolving future. I need to keep myself relevant in the field of SEO by being able to do a bunch of pretty cool data tricks myself. I need to keep myself in the mode of unstoppability. I'm not obsessively single-minded, but I can be pretty driven, especially when I know the parameters of the problem, which are be a good dad to my daughter, continue a pretty decent earning capacity. You're in a hot field in New York City, and you're reaching for an even hotter field to keep your edge, to keep your sharpness and relevance and value in almost any corporate or cause-based or organization, really, who values getting the word out by pure virtue of their righteousness. That's SEO. People share your content because you should be seen on that topic, and other people feel that same way. And when these things go through their initial surge in popularity in media through news-driven cycles, they get a little pop. And then what's remaining, because you had good content out there through that cycle and you don't change the URLs, and the URL was created intelligently so you don't get pigeonholed into something it's not, and it has some timelessness, and you can copy and paste it into emails, and it shares well, and it doesn't go through too many redirects, and There's a whole bunch of reasons why the DNS system and domain names and URLs and web addresses aren't going away. IPv6 just gives us a lot more of them. So think through your URLs intelligently and long term, so that they work for you long term. Granularity is key. How much of the activity surrounding those topics that URL addresses should clump up around that URL before you create another one, which has its own work overhead and maintenance and long-term, liability, but it's also an asset existing because it must be maintained, improved, and in competition with every URL like it on the internet that would like to be in one of those top positions in Google when you search. And of course, the whole in Google and when you search part of that statement is variable too, because these other ecosystems are created and trying to lure you in where you don't really even need the internet such as you know it anymore. And old school services like proprietary closed ecosystems can suddenly happen to you because you're trapped in all these different ways. So little of what you want to do is always to keep your foot in the free and open source world, and have some tools at your disposal you can wield like old familiar musical instruments or martial arts weapons, and that is Vim and Python, and to a smaller degree Linux, but you got to know some stuff to get the instantiated running environment for your code, and be kind of a sysadmin and kind of a DevOps person for yourself when you need to be. So got to run upstairs. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you soon, and don't forget to subscribe.